Good afternoon, Jon Leven. How's it going?
Very good, thank you, Zach. Very good.
I have the camera out today. We're interviewing you and your gym. Would it be alright if I ask you some questions today?
Fire away, I'm happy to help.
So what inspired you to create Team CFS?
Team CFS come about because of my own desire to improve myself, combined with a passion for teaching others, is what developed Team CFS. I like to see people improve themselves. At the time when I set this place up in particular, there was very few opportunities in Sydney and certainly nothing in and around the Shire to take things to the level where I want to go. I decided I was going to be the one to do it and built Team CFS out of that.
When you built Team CFS, what factors did you consider?
So one of the big things that affected me in the progression of my career was traveling for numerous facilities. So I go to a gym for Jiu-Jitsu, I go to another gym for some boxing, I go to another gym for some Muay Thai, I go to another gym for some wrestling, I go to another gym again for some strength conditioning. Didn't actually have a nutritional option back then because I was pretty much on weight anyway, but that was something which, you know, if I needed, I would have had to go external for that as well. And that was what made me think, well, there's got to be a better way of doing this. I wanted to bring that all into one facility where if you want to become a fighter, if that is your desire, then let's put it all together so you don't be traveling all over Sydney to become that. That's what really drove me towards creating what we have here, a passion for building other people to see them achieve their goals as well. I'll train anybody. I'll train kids, adults, people who are unhealthy, people who are healthy. You don't have to be a fighter to be here, but at the same time, I will train you as if you are, because that's what I believe is real, as opposed to giving you information which hasn't been tested or is not as true to the concepts of self-defense as what they should be.
What self-experiences helped you mold Team CFS into what it is today?
Yep, so my own experiences were training predominantly in a traditional martial art, because in the early days that's really all there was. You had your traditional karates, your kung fus, your hapkidos, your taekwondos, and they were the fundamental systems with which we had to start back then. Your boxing, all those things were fundamental systems where you would start there, and then if you had enough of a curious mind, I suppose, you'd see there's more out there, and then if there's more, I want to learn more. I also did a lot of nightclub security work and music festival security, personal bodyguard work, and when I'm doing that, you could see what was working and what wasn't working in relation to defending yourself and other people. You know, you start to realize MMA in its concept is actually quite a great version of self-defense, and if it's taught the right way, anyone can learn it, and that's what I wanted to bring. I really kept enhancing my skills within the striking arts. I like to say striking arts as opposed to kickboxing or Muay Thai or boxing, because to me they only really have a difference in relation to distance that you're dealing with and the weapons that you've chosen to use. And if you're able to use a lot of weapons, one of them might get taken away from you. You might hurt a hand, you might hurt a leg, then you've got to work to result in other forms of striking to continue the battle, if that's the goal. The wrestling I found was a fundamental for controlling a person in any self-defense situation, which actually crosses over to combat for sport, being able to dictate where you want to be. Do you want to take the fight to the ground? Well, you need to wrestle to get it down there. Do you want to keep the fight standing? Well, if they know how to wrestle, you better know how to wrestle as well to keep the fight standing so you can strike. Wrestling became a fundamental for me to understand where I want the fight to be. Naturally, my jiu-jitsu game, well, back in the early days, we were training under a John Will seminar maybe once or twice a year and a blue belt, and that was all we had. So developing myself and the coaches that I have here at CFS, we've got 2 good black belts, a couple of brown belts and purple belts and so forth. So we've got a good base understanding of people who have spent time in the combat systems for quite a long time now. So they know the truth and what really works, and that's important to me. My own fight experience, 41 professional fights. I've won some, I've lost some, I've drawn some, you know. That's the nature of the game. I used every one of those fights as experience and knowledge for what I'm going to give to my members, my students, my fight team. They're going to draw from that experience. Security, well, I'm not going to say much about that. We spend a lot of time fighting, doing that as well, and that certainly crosses over. Back in the old days, we'll fight nearly every shift. You'd be in at least one or if not more fights. And when you're doing it 3 nights a week, rack up a few fights a year. But that's, again, might be against untrained people, understandably, but it's experience and knowledge and how people react and how people move and how people see a fight that they think is going to go certain ways, what you've got to do to control that, to take it your way.